Would you buy this? This is the 2027 Kia Sportage, and Kia gave this facelift a much more confident face. The previous Sportage was already bold, with those wild boomerang-style lights. But this one? It looks cleaner, wider, and honestly, more grown up. Up front, the new grille and bumper make it look tougher, while the Star Map LED signature gives it that latest Kia family look. It actually has a little bit of EV9 energy from the front. Moving around the side, the shape is still recognizably Sportage, but the redesigned profile, sharper details, and fresh wheel designs give it a more premium stance. And at the back, the updated lights and cleaner bumper finish the job nicely. So no, Kia didn't reinvent the Sportage, they just made it look like it got promoted. Bigger presence, cleaner design, and much less trying too hard. Now let's jump into the driver's seat, because this is where the new Sportage really starts to feel like a proper upgrade. First impression? The cabin feels much cleaner, more modern, and definitely more premium than the previous version. This new two-spoke steering wheel is one of the first things you notice. It has a simple design, but it actually looks really good. It gives the interior a more expensive feel straight away. And the buttons are placed nicely too. You have your cruise control, driving assistance, media, phone controls, and everything is right where your thumbs naturally sit. Which is great, because nobody wants to study the steering wheel before driving home. Right behind it, you get this curved digital setup. A 12.3-inch driver display and a 12.3-inch infotainment screen flowing into one clean panel. It looks much more modern than the old Sportage. The screen is sharp, easy to read, and it brings navigation, media, camera views, and vehicle settings closer to the driver. And I like this detail here. The lower touch panel can switch between climate controls and navigation shortcuts. So instead of adding 100 buttons everywhere, Kia gives you a cleaner solution. Now look at the center console. You have storage space, cup holders, charging areas, drive mode controls, and the gear selector placed neatly in the middle. Everything feels easy to reach, without making the cabin feel crowded. The materials are also better than before. You have soft touch areas where your hands naturally go, cleaner trim around the console, and on GT line models, that black and white interior theme with leatherette and suede-style materials. It's not pretending to be a luxury German SUV, but it definitely looks like Kia has been watching what the premium brands are doing. And space? This is still one of the Sportage's biggest strengths. The front seats feel open, there's plenty of room around your knees, and the center console does not eat into the cabin. Even in the back, adults should have proper legroom, which makes this a genuinely practical family SUV. So yes, you can bring the kids, the bags, the coffee cups, the charging cables, and probably half your life. Overall, this interior feels smarter, more spacious, and much more premium than the Sportage we had before. Now we are on the road in the 2027 Kia Sportage plug-in hybrid, and this is the part that matters most. A car can look great in a parking lot, but the real question is, does it make everyday driving easier? Under the bonnet, this version uses a 1.6-liter turbo petrol engine with 180 horsepower, working together with an electric motor producing 107 horsepower. Together, the system gives you 288 horsepower and 380 Newton-meters of torque. That is a serious number for a family SUV. It is not trying to be a hot hatch, but when you need to join a motorway, overtake a slower car, or pull away from a junction, it has enough power to feel confident. Kia says 0 to 100 kilometers an hour takes 7.8 seconds, and that feels quick enough for what this car is designed to do. In other words, it will get the children to school very quickly, maybe too quickly. The power goes through a 6-speed automatic gearbox and all-wheel drive. So unlike some hybrids that can feel a little disconnected when you ask for acceleration, this Sportage has a more familiar, more natural response. You press the pedal, the electric motor gives you that instant push, and then the petrol engine joins in when you need more power. It feels easy. That is the whole personality of this car. At low speeds, especially in town, it can drive quietly on electric power. The steering is light, the view out is good, and the SUV shape makes it simple to place on the road. You are sitting high enough to see traffic clearly, but the car is not so huge that it feels stressful in a car park. And for people moving from a normal petrol car, this is probably one of the easiest ways to step into electrified driving. You do not have to change your whole life. You do not have to plan every long trip around charging. You can plug it in at home, use electric power for the daily commute, then let the petrol engine take over when the journey gets longer. This is a plug-in hybrid, so it has a 13.8 kilowatt-hour battery. Kia quotes up to 65 kilometers, or around 40 miles, of electric-only range under the WLTP test. Is that enough? For a lot of people, yes. If your commute is short, if you do school runs, grocery trips, gym trips, and city driving, you could do a big part of your weekly driving on electricity, provided you actually charge it. Because buying a plug-in hybrid and never plugging it in is a bit like buying a coffee machine and only using it as decoration. And that is important. A plug-in hybrid works best when you have easy access to charging at home or at work. Kia lists around 4 hours and 20 minutes on AC charging, or around 6 hours from a normal wall socket. So plug it in overnight, wake up, and the battery is ready for your day. Simple routine, big difference. The official fuel figure is 3.2 liters per 100 kilometers, but of course that depends heavily on how often you charge and how you drive. In a Swedish winter, on a fast motorway trip, or with a flat battery, you should expect the petrol engine to work more and the real consumption to go up. But that is not a problem. It is just how every plug-in hybrid works, and Kia has made the system easy to understand. You can choose to prioritize EV driving for local trips, or leave it in hybrid mode and let the petrol engine and electric motor work together. When the battery is low, the car does not suddenly become useless. You still have the petrol engine, the 42-liter tank, and the confidence to keep driving. That is what makes this car so easy to live with. Now let's compare this system with a full electric car, because that is where people get confused. A proper EV has a much larger battery and no petrol engine at all. It is quieter, it is usually smoother, and the acceleration can feel more immediate. For daily driving, an EV can be brilliant. Charge at home, leave every morning with a full battery, and you never have to visit a petrol station. But there is another side to it. On longer trips, a full EV asks you to think about charging stops. Most of the time, that is not a big issue, but it does mean you need to plan a little. With the Sportage plug-in hybrid, you get the electric driving for your short journeys, but you also have the petrol engine for the unexpected trip, the holiday drive, or that moment when you absolutely do not want to think about a charger. It is basically the, I want the future, but I also want a backup plan solution. The compromise is simple. You do not get the completely silent, zero-emission long-distance experience of a full EV. And once the battery is empty, you are carrying the extra weight of the hybrid system while using petrol. So if you cannot charge regularly, a normal hybrid or a full EV could make more sense. But if you can charge at home, and most of your driving is under that 65-kilometer electric range, this Kia can make a lot of sense. Now, compared with other SUVs, the Sportage has a strong place in the middle of the market. Against the Toyota RAV4 plug-in hybrid, the Kia feels more design-led inside. The dashboard, curved screens, ambient lighting, and technology make the Sportage feel more modern and more digital. The Toyota has its own reputation for long-term reliability and straightforward ownership, while the Kia answers with a very stylish cabin, a strong equipment list, and Kia's 7-year new car warranty. So which one is better? That depends on what you value. If you want the familiar Toyota ownership story, the RAV4 is still an obvious choice. But if you want an SUV that looks and feels newer inside, the Sportage is very hard to ignore. Then there is the Hyundai Tucson plug-in hybrid. These two cars are close competitors, and both are practical, comfortable, and full of technology. The Tucson has a clean, mature look. The Sportage is the bolder one. It has more visual drama, more personality, and in this GT line style, it feels a bit more youthful. The Hyundai is the smart shirt. The Kia is the smart shirt with better trainers. Compared with a full EV like Kia's own EV5, the Sportage feels more familiar. You still have the petrol engine, you have a normal long-distance safety net, and you do not need to change your road trip habits overnight. But the EV gives you a quieter drive, no tailpipe emissions, and a larger electric-only range. So again, the choice comes down to your charging situation. This Sportage is not trying to beat an EV at being an EV. It is trying to be the flexible answer for a family that is not ready to go fully electric yet. And as a family SUV, it gets a lot right. You have all-wheel drive for wet roads, snow, and everyday confidence. You have 540 liters of boot space with the rear seats up, and up to 1,715 liters when you fold them down. There is genuine rear legroom, rear USB charging, ISOFIX points, and a proper set of driver assistance features. On higher trims, you can get a 360-degree camera, blind spot view, highway driving assist 2, and even remote parking assistance. So whether you are doing the school run, parking in a tight supermarket space, or heading out for a long weekend, the car is designed to take some of the stress away. And that is what family cars should do. It can also tow up to 1,210 kilograms with brakes. That is useful for a small trailer, bikes, garden trips, or a bit of weekend life that does not fit inside the car. So after spending time with the new Kia Sportage plug-in hybrid, here is my verdict. It is not the cheapest way to get into electrified driving. It is not as silent as a full EV, and you only get the best efficiency when you remember to charge it. But it is spacious, confident, easy to drive, properly quick, and full of useful technology. It gives you electric driving when it makes sense, petrol flexibility when you need it, and the kind of practical SUV layout that works for real life. Honestly, that is a very difficult formula to argue with. So, would you choose this over a Toyota RAV4, Hyundai Tucson, or a full electric SUV? Would you buy this? Tell me in the comments and subscribe for more honest car reviews.